am reacting to your Monday Night Raw Hot Takes. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you're following me on X because I ask for your hot takes there after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every single WWE Premium Live event. And there's like 50 WWE Premium Live events over the next couple of months, so make sure that you're following me for this. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And don't forget, if you are looking for my review of this particular episode of Monday Night Raw, it's already up and available with footage over on patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, we upload the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, and a whole bunch of extra videos that never get uploaded here to YouTube. So go check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. Let's start the video. Roxanne Perez fits perfectly for the role that she's currently playing. Most people don't benefit from being stuck in the Judgment Day vortex, but this seems right for now. I have to agree with you. I'm quite pleased with the role that they've given Roxanne Perez. I think it's a giant vote of confidence from the WWE top brass that they're putting a rookie working alongside the likes of Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan. I know that there's a bunch of people that are bummed about the fact that Roxanne Perez, who in her own right is a fantastic professional wrestler, that she's being put into a love triangle storyline. I get where people are coming from when it comes to that, but it was a love triangle storyline that catapulted Liv Morgan to the mega stardom that she has right now on the main roster. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Plus, this is going to set her up for a feud with Liv Morgan, most likely somewhere down the line, a feud that will definitely draw a ton of eyeballs and will have a lot of interest from fans around the world. So all in all, I feel like WWE is handling the call-up of Roxanne Perez honestly kind of perfectly at the moment. And I had my reservations initially with how they called her up alongside Julia. It felt like there really wasn't much of anything for her to do aside from just lose to main eventers and maybe eventually splinter off and have a storyline against Julia. This, at the very least, we have a storyline that has a very clear and definitive path and a very clear and definitive ending, which to me just is a good thing to have when you're being called up to the main roster, when in many scenarios we've had NXT people get called up and just be in complete limbo, starting storylines that go absolutely nowhere. This certainly will not be one of those types of storylines. So in my opinion, WWE is doing a great job handling Roxanne Perez as of the making of this video. So we are about less than 2 weeks away from Money in the Bank, and they are building the Jey Uso match the day after the show rather than the tag match. This will be yet another rush feud on yet another rushed event. Good job, TKO. I can't help but feel that they put both world championship matches attached to this particular match so that they don't have to actually rush any one world championship feud going into Money in the Bank, and I think that that's lame as hell. I had a lot of hopes that they could utilize the short amount of time that they have with segments involving John Cena and Logan Paul, considering Logan Paul is there on a more regular basis, and of course with only 2 episodes of Monday Night Raw, who isn't there? Neither Logan Paul or John Cena. I have to imagine that maybe they're going to be focusing on building this feud on Friday Night SmackDown. Maybe that's the case, and they were really focusing on building the Seth Rollins stuff on Monday Night Raw instead, but it still feels like we're running out of time to make me care about this tag team match that was made seemingly out of nowhere at Saturday night's main event. I don't mind them building the other storyline between Jey and Gunther, that's fine, but if you're going to set up this tag match, I'm sorry, but you gotta build both of them. I made a video yesterday about all of the problems that are being caused by having this many WWE Premium Live events jam-packed in such a short amount of time, and I had some people in the comments telling me, well, why are you complaining about this? This is nothing to complain about. No, it is, because even though we're getting more of the thing that we love, in some scenarios, we might be getting more of the thing that we love at a lower quality, and I think that's fair to criticize. I unfortunately think Lyra is going to lose the title to Becky Lynch at Money in the Bank. However, since Lyra has elevated her mic skills exponentially to compete with Becky, I can see her in the world title picture very soon. So I love that you sent in this message, because even if Lyra Valkyria does lose, it's clear to me that at least for you, Hipkey, who sent this message, that the IC title has done its job, which is to elevate somebody from the mid-card to the main event scene. In your eyes, it seems like the mid-card Intercontinental Championship has done its job for Lyra Valkyria, and that is a win all around, even if she were to lose the title to Becky Lynch. And let's face it, losing a title to Becky Lynch is not going to hurt Lyra Valkyria at all in the slightest. I'm not convinced that she's going to lose. I think there's a chance that she certainly does lose, but let's not forget that we still have the Bayley question mark looming around somewhere around the corner. I could very well see a world where Money in the Bank is the return of Bayley and she costs Becky Lynch the match. Maybe setting us up for Becky Lynch versus Bayley, or maybe a triple threat match between these three at Evolution, dare I say, for the Intercontinental Championship. But yeah, if you're already visualizing Lyra Valkyria going after the World Championship after this feud because you feel like she's gotten so much better with her character work and her promos, then this has been a successful feud with Becky Lynch. AJ Styles versus Chad is going to be a banger feud with some classic matches. You know what I would like them to do? Actually have a feud. What do I mean by that? Just look at AJ Styles' track record over the last little while, over the last several months, where he starts feuds that don't actually get started or go anywhere. The feud with Karrion Kross, where the hell did that go? Do you guys remember when he stared down Braun Breaker and we thought that we were going to be getting Braun Breaker versus AJ Styles? We even had Braun Breaker attacking AJ Styles in the middle of the ring after his matches. Where the hell did that go? This segment also happened on commercial break, and I've learned to not marry myself to anything that gets built on WWE commercial break TV, because unless it actually happens in the actual main show, it's a possibility that they don't actually build upon it. You want a perfect example of it? Ludwig Kaiser. Look at all those commercial segments that he had, and it led to absolutely jack diddly nothing. Let's make more noise for Kyrie. I'm happy that she won a singles match and didn't lose, and now her return feels more special. I really hope this builds up to something great for singles gold, as we know what magic she can create in singles competition. I feel like people have forgotten how good Kyrie Zayn can be as a singles competitor. To be fair, we haven't gotten to see that side of Kyrie Zayn on WWE TV pretty much since she left NXT all of those years ago. But look, Kyrie Zayn won, and she beat somebody that is always in the main event picture in Liv Morgan. Can we throw out this notion out the window that Rhea Ripley buried Kyrie Zayn simply because Kyrie Zayn had to take an emergency pin last week due to Zoe Stark's injury? Look, she won a match. Are you happy? I'm not convinced yet that WWE is actually going to do something for Kyrie Zayn. You want the fans to make more noise for Kyrie. That'd be nice, because right now she isn't getting the biggest reactions out of the arena, which always certainly is cause for concern. Typically, reactions are a good barometer to see how over somebody is, at the very least with the crowd. I think more than anything, WWE just needs to focus on giving me a reason to care about Kyrie Zayn matches, because even though she beat Liv Morgan, it just sort of felt like she herself, Kyrie Zayn, was just a stepping stone in a waiting lobby for the inevitable match that is Liv Morgan versus Io Sky, because that's the match that they were building up to when they set up Kyrie versus Liv Morgan. 3 segments, 2 matches, and a whole lot of scheming going around. Does it feel like summer in the Judgment Day clubhouse yet? Dude, I said the same thing. I'm like, this is something that happens every single summer, where a major Judgment Day storyline starts, all of a sudden they go from irrelevant to being the sole focus of Monday Night Raw with like 5-6 different segments, and it started tonight. These guys got so much screen time, whether it was in the clubhouse, multiple matches, whether it was various different backstage segments not in the clubhouse. The people that we saw the most tonight was the Judgment Day, and it happens every single summer. Yeah, WWE needs to get an over tag team on Raw. There's just no reaction from fans there. How they ruined a heel New Day is beyond me, but there's nothing exciting at all about that division. Every tag team bores me to tears. We've complained about the Raw tag team division left, right, and center, and how they're doing everything right on Friday Night SmackDown. Hell, the tag team division on Friday Night SmackDown literally just closed the show. They added yet another tag team with the Wyatt Six. Meanwhile, it's just straight up poverty right now on the Monday Night Raw side of things for the tag team. Even the match that they had tonight between the Creed brothers, the War Raiders, and the New Day was just fine, but I didn't care about the match. It also didn't help that they picked the worst stipulation for a tag team triple threat, which is only 2 guys in the ring at the same time. Meanwhile, on SmackDown, they're having full-blown TLC matches over there. I don't know that any one particular tag team right now could save this, but I do wonder if maybe Fraxium should have gone to Monday Night Raw, but also it's a double-edged sword, because had they gone to Monday Night Raw, it's very possible that they would have become equally boring as the rest of the tag team division. So I'm glad that they went to SmackDown, because they're actually interesting over there, because the tag team division is interesting. So basically what I'm saying is that I'm concerned that any over tag team that you can think of to help build the Raw tag team division might just get sucked up by the boredom vortex that is the Raw tag team division, and all of a sudden they won't feel very over anymore. But yeah, this division just needs a reset, a new life breathed into it, because right now it is just a dead end for tag teams to go go into and become obscure and irrelevant. WWE adding the AAA mega title onto the line before Del Rio even faced Vikingo is nasty work. Like, yeah, I get it, Del Rio is a bad person, but to do him dirty on an episode of Raw before he even lost the title to Vikingo isn't cool in my opinion. So let me catch people up in case that you didn't know. Hijo del Vikingo is not the AAA mega champion as of the making of this video in this episode of Monday Night Raw. The AAA mega champion is Alberto El Patron, formerly known as Alberto Del Rio. And on May 31st, there is a match between Alberto El Patron and Hijo del Vikingo for the AAA mega championship. And WWE basically spoiled that Hijo del Vikingo will be going into this match that takes place on June 7th as the AAA champion to defend it against Chad Gable, thus basically spoiling to the world that he's going to be beating Alberto El Patron for the title. Here's the thing, everyone and their dog knew that. There was no world where Alberto El Patron was going to go into Worlds Collide as the AAA mega champion. I knew that they were going to put this on a face that WWE has been marketing, and that face has been Hijo del Vikingo. For God's sake, they had him appear at WrestleMania in a match. But it doesn't change the fact that I also agree with you that they did not really necessarily just Del Rio, but they did AAA kind of dirty, because now the main event of that end of May show has been spoiled and there's literally no point in watching it. I'm curious if this was a production oversight. I wouldn't be surprised if people within WWE didn't know that Vikingo actually wasn't the AAA champion just yet, or maybe this is WWE knowing that they have little to no time to build to Worlds Collide, so they need to give you and other people around the world a reason to make you want to tune in to Vikingo versus Chad Gable. Aside from just telling you it's going to be a great match, they want you to know that there's something on the line, and that something on the line is the AAA Mega Championship. And in the process, they freaking spoiled the main event of that AAA show at the end of the month. I don't know. It's all very, very messy, and it's not a good look for anybody that this got spoiled. This is coming sooner rather than later. No. Dominic Mysterio will stand tall. Dominic Mysterio will not fall for the forbidden fruit, the forbidden apple once again. He is better than that. He is older. He is wiser, and he will stick by his güerita. Live Dom will live on. Scarlett on a ladder. Killer Cross is the most cryptic wrestler since Bray Wyatt. I'm going to refuse to believe this is anything other than confirmation that he will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Give the people what they want. I noticed this too, and I have to agree that that had to have been on purpose. Otherwise, what the hell is Scarlett doing on a ladder randomly? I'm glad that we got Karrion Kross, by the way. I timed it. He had a total of 40 seconds of screen time. Still less screen time than those two comedians that didn't make me so much as grin. I think that guy, Bert Kreischer, I think is his name. I think his entire bit is I drink beer and I don't have a shirt. Anyways, I digress. If you find him funny, good for you, but I want more Karrion Kross in my life. There's still a couple of spots left for Money in the Bank qualifiers, and I have to imagine, have to imagine that Karrion Kross is at the very least going to be in one of those qualifier matches, and Scarlett being on that ladder in the background, I'm also leaning myself towards believing that Karrion Kross might actually qualify for this thing. Where is Ludwig? I think he's probably somewhere back there with the Karrion Kross push and the Finn Balor push as well. I'm a huge Jey Uso fan, but this promo really did make me feel confident in him, with Jey pausing, figuring out what to say. Just everything with this promo was very sloppy. Also, please let this be the final match between Gunther and Jey and move on already. I too am also ready to move on away from Jey Uso versus Gunther. This has been too many times that we've gotten this match over the last 2 years. I'm good. I'm done. This is it. Let's just go our separate ways from here. By the way, I'm glad the match is happening. I'm glad that the guy that lost the world title at WrestleMania is going to get an opportunity to get it back, even though I don't think he's going to win it. But I'm glad that it's happening, but no more. I also have to agree with you. I don't love jumping in on the Jey Uso Gatorade hate train, but that promo was not very good. That promo felt like he forgot his lines constantly and that Gunther was having to feed him lines. Obviously, I don't know. I'm just saying that's what it looked like from my perspective as a fan on a couch, and clearly it looked the same to you, and I know for a fact it looked the same for many people around the world as well. Luckily, this feud has already been built. This feud already has plenty of history and background, so they don't really need to rely on having back and forth promos to make you care about the match or make you understand the history and the lore, because all of that foundation has already been built. So weak promos between these two, although not ideal, is actually like really not the end of the world. This match right here was a banger. 5-star match for me. This match was absolutely incredible. So far, most of the triple threat matches for the Money in the Bank qualifiers have been fantastic, and we've been treated to some excellent matches over the last couple of weeks on both Raw and SmackDown, but this is the match that trumps them all. This is now my second favorite made-for-TV match of the year, just slightly behind the awesome TLC match that we had from the SmackDown Tag Team division a few weeks ago. This match absolutely rocked. Dragon Lee looked amazing. I hope they find a spot for Dragon Lee at the very least on Worlds Collide, because in my opinion, he was the best performer in this match, and that's saying a lot considering both Penta and Chad Gable were out of this world as well. There were like 4 times in this match where I straight up thought that Chad Gable died, all right? Numerous times, especially that one like Penta driver where he did like the vertebreaker and the Penta driver on Chad Gable at the same time, and Chad Gable extended his neck instead of tucking in, and it looked like he just like landed face first, about to break his neck. It was scary, but Chad Gable has the strongest neck in human history, and he was all right, but the match was genuinely fantastic. And ultimately, I think they picked the right winner. I think Penta going into Money in the Bank is the right choice because Chad Gable's already busy at Worlds Collide, and no disrespect to Dragon Lee, but if I have to pick between the two in terms of who I want to see at Money in the Bank between these two luchadors, I'd rather it be Penta. Now that Penta's qualified, though, it does make me sad that Rey Fenix didn't qualify, because it would have been cool to have a couple of moments between those two in this match. I'm convinced Finn is using Roxanne Perez to break up Dom and Liv, and ultimately the entire Judgment Day. Roxanne doesn't love Dom and is just there to divide the group. I'm agreeing with you here. I also think it's on purpose that at this same time they're also doing the love triangle, and I think that they're playing on our expectations that Dominic Mysterio is going to gravitate to the new girl that's giving him chicken nuggets and all of these presents, only to pull the rug from under us that this isn't the plan, that this is really just a ploy to create a divide between members of the Judgment Day to ultimately set us up for a match, either probably at SummerSlam or somewhere down the line between Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor. And I wouldn't be surprised if we also get a mixed match between Finn and Roxanne and Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, because they're going to hold strong and they will not break up. I just know it. Bronson Reed was absolutely the right choice for Seth's faction. He was having the run of his lifetime before his injury. The fans love watching him. He is great in ring and good on the mic, and he is a great heel. Looking forward to seeing how this goes. I feel like they've done everything right in the past couple of days with Bronson Reed. The addition of him being the third man was great. The way he was added was great. Taking out with CM Punk was fantastic. And now on Monday Night Raw, not saying a single word, but just letting Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins build the case for him, having them glaze you and explain to you why having Bronson Reed on the team is such a good call was brilliant. I'm excited to see Bronson Reed. He wasn't my first choice to be on this group, but now that he's in the group, I'm sold and I'm ready to see what they've got to offer us. I think it's cool that Bronson Reed is pretty much entirely bypassing mid-card titles and just immediately being inserted into the main event picture, because this is what this faction is. This is going to be a main event faction full of guys that will break off eventually and be perennial main eventers. Bronson Reed is too damn good. He's just too damn good to just hide away in the mid-card and not use. And I'm glad that in 2025, WWE has finally come to their senses and realized that this guy is just too big of an asset and can absolutely be a top-level heel in the WWE. I'm so tired of the constant CM Punk run-in, always at the end of the main event. It's very annoying and repetitive. It certainly is becoming repetitive. I wouldn't necessarily say it's annoying, because at the very least, it's part of like the main event storyline going on Monday Night Raw, but it certainly is repetitive. They're playing on the same shtick time after time over the last several weeks. I do think it's a bummer that they're not utilizing CM Punk in the thing that he's the best at in the world, which is on the microphone. A 1-minute run-in appearance on Monday Night Raw isn't ideal. At least we're getting CM Punk, but where I want CM Punk is on the stick, baby. I want to hear what this guy's got to say about Bronson Reed. Lyra versus Becky is honestly a very underrated feud, and this Raw showed it. Lyra's mic work definitely needs practice, but the second Becky comes out, you can tell she's way more comfortable. It's been awesome to see this Becky slowly become more and more unhinged week after week. This is the best women's storyline going on right now, because the Bianca, Jade Cargill, and Naomi stuff has sort of been on hold with Bianca Belair's injury. Tiffany Stratton doesn't really have a storyline going on. Io Sky doesn't have a storyline going on. Rhea Ripley is just building towards Money in the Bank, and Liv Morgan, that might be the best story going on, but to me, this is better because it's just a more structured storyline that's already had a fantastic, brilliant match under its bag, and we're just about to get another one. I have to agree with you. Lyra is at her best when she's actually in a conversational back and forth with somebody. She definitely felt a lot more at home when she was actually talking to Becky Lynch. When she was just talking to the crowd, I will say I did feel like it was a little bit awkward and a tiny bit forced. So there's still room to improve for Lyra Valkyria, but I would say that right now her ability to improve on a week-to-week basis is very clear, and the sky is the limit with this woman. Interesting thought based on what Seth said in his promo. He wins Money in the Bank, then cashes in on Cena, cementing him as the future of WWE by keeping the title from being taken away. It just makes sense, right? In terms of Seth Rollins' motivations completely clashing with John Cena's motivations, you would think that logically, with these motivations being so polar opposite, that they would need to go up against each other in some way, shape, or form. The only thing that's kind of preventing this from making 100% sense is that they're both heels. But I don't think that really should matter. I'm down to have Seth Rollins go after John Cena, with the motivation being a good motivation, a justified motivation, but doing it in a way that is still dastardly and evil. Because how can you say that you're here to cement and protect the future of the WWE when you literally have a guy that's trying to walk away with the future of the WWE in the championship belt? The physical manifestation of the future progression of the business is about to disappear, and Seth Rollins isn't trying to protect it. I think we need to have these guys cross that bridge at some point, because otherwise it just feels like they're just being kept away artificially for no reason. Well, there is a reason that they're both heels, but again, the motivations just work so well for these guys to be going up against each other. I love that the feud wasn't forgotten, but I feel like Seth hasn't forgiven Reed. He just wants his power for personal gain. Maybe the team won't be as powerful as we'd think, since Seth holds on to grudges. Interested to see how this plays out. Just hope it doesn't drag like the bloodline. If you're hoping for something to not drag in a Triple H era of WWE booking, my friend, you are watching the wrong show, because things just tend to drag under Triple H because he loves his long-term storytelling. This storyline with Seth Rollins and the new group, this is going to go on for probably literal years. So if you're not ready for that, you might as well tune out now, because this is going to be one for the long haul. I also love that the problems between Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed were not forgotten, but I also appreciated that they used Bronson Reed destroying Seth Rollins as a way to justify why Seth Rollins would want somebody like Bronson Reed on his team. Yeah, is he recruiting him for his own personal gain, his own personal power? Sure, and it would be completely on brand with the character that we have here with Seth Rollins. It also gives Seth Rollins personal experience to actually be able to talk about the danger of how scary somebody like Bronson Reed can be, because he isn't a hypothetical threat. Seth Rollins can literally talk from experience when he's putting over Bronson, and I think that that's a cool, unique position for a heel faction to be in. If Punk's goal is to make sure that Seth doesn't win a title, then he needs to find a way into the ladder match instead of just showing up to cost him like he did with Drew McIntyre last year. Oh my God, please do not give us a repeat of a failed cash-in because CM Punk is trying to screw somebody over, and I don't want it to happen with Seth Rollins. If CM Punk is going to screw Seth Rollins, let's screw Seth Rollins during the ladder match so that he doesn't win the ladder match. Let's not wait for Seth to win Money in the Bank to then get screwed by CM Punk. I don't want a repeat of that. Alpha Academy, where hype goes to die. Rusev's return deserved better. Here's hoping Sheamus can bring the hype back. I said it from the beginning of Rusev's return that putting him with Alpha Academy made absolutely no sense, that this didn't help put Rusev over, that this wasn't a good way to reintroduce Rusev into the main roster. Everyone's already beaten Alpha Academy, so Rusev going out there and destroying them isn't particularly an impressive feat, because we've seen it a million times. This thing with Sheamus, now I'm interested. Now you've got my attention, and now I have to ask the question, why in the world didn't you just start there? 2 down, 2 to go. League of Nations is back, baby. I do think it's hilarious that in 2025, we live in a world where all 4 members of the League of Nations, the greatest faction in the history of the WWE, are all under the WWE umbrella. We have Sheamus and Rusev feuding. We have Wade Barrett on commentary, and then we have Alberto El Patron over in AAA losing his championship before the match even starts. I'm a Rhea fan, but I don't want the Money in the Bank to be wasted on someone who could ask for a title match next week, and I also think that she'll be someone to announce her cash-in, in which I hate. I agree with everything that you're saying here. Somebody like Rhea Ripley would probably say, Io Sky, I want you at SummerSlam, I want you at Evolution, celebration, and that does kind of take away a lot of that awesome surprise factor that the Money in the Bank briefcase allows for. But also, you're also right about Rhea Ripley just being able to get a championship match. She's been perennially in the championship picture for the last 2.5 years, so giving her the Money in the Bank briefcase feels like an unnecessary story crutch to put her back into the main event scene when she can literally fart and be added to the main event scene. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of Hot Takes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Goodbye. Get out of here.